Now, this problem of costs blowing out is not isolated to science projects. This is actually true across all big projects, whether it be running Olympic Games, building a bridge, building a tunnel, almost anything. And there's been a lot of research done into why the cost of almost any big project so often blows out and goes out of control. Now, I'm basing most of what I say in this on the book How Big Things Get Done by Ben Flivberg and Dan Gardner. Ben Flivberg is probably the world authority on blowouts of prices of mega projects. And basically, roughly 90% of all big projects of any type go over budget and take longer than planned. And it's a fat tail distribution. They don't just go a certain amount over budget. Some of them can go dramatically 10, 20, 30 times over budget, and in the process often destroy organizations, make companies go bankrupt, and cause enormous damage. Here from the book is a graph showing different types of projects and the mean cost overrun. You see, nuclear storage is on average 238% over budget. Olympic Games is on average 150% over budget. Nuclear power on average is 120% over budget, and so on. Aerospace at 60%, IT projects 73%. So basically, almost everything goes over budget, and it goes over by a lot. It's not like 5 or 10% over. The exception down the bottom are things like solar power, which on average only goes 1% over budget, or wind power only 13%. And we'll come back to why these are so good, where things like nuclear power is so bad, and oil and gas facilities are in the middle somewhere. But that's the mean overrun. You've also got to look at this fat tail. This is the percentage of projects in the tail. What fraction of projects go more than 50% over budget? And you can see if Olympic Games, 76% of them go at least that much over budget, nuclear power 55%. And this is, if it does go over budget by more than 50%, how much is it going to go over? So, for example, nuclear power, 55% of them go over budget quite badly, and of those that do, on average the overrun is 200%. Information technology projects, IT projects, 18% overrun by more than 50%, but when they do, it's an eye-watering 447% overrun. So you can see that you can get some really bad effects. Now, lest we get too despondent, this is not inevitable. There are examples, quite apart from solar power and wind power, where things do not go over budget. Let's, for example, look at two iconic buildings. Now, here's the Sydney Opera House, definitely an iconic building. And this is an example of a mismanaged project that went way over budget. The plan in 1957 was it should be completed in 1963 for a cost of $7 million. It was actually completed in 1973 for a cost of $102 million. So that's an enormous cost overrun. It destroyed Yogurtsen's architect's career. He never built another building after this, had to flee the country and it's not even that good for opera. That has been redesigned now to be a little bit better, with even more money being spent. But here's another iconic building, the Bilbao Guggenheim, and this was completed on time and on budget. So it is possible to build complicated, iconic buildings cheaply, on time and on budget. It's just rather rare.